beautiful morning to you. You're welcome to the weekend show. My apologies. Only who know will know why I'm apologizing. All right, my name is Oluchi Carlo Emeka. You can call me Luchi K. You're welcome to the discussion segment. Last week, we did throw something to the air and decided to catch it this week.
Yes.
David, do me the honor.
Yes, like I said during our introduction, we said that a particular couple found out after they've been married for 12 years that they were actually siblings. Yes, it is true that they are not Nigerians, but they are blacks. That discovery affected them, and they are confused on what next steps to take.
And they have children.
Yes, and they already have children. And we started imagining, if you're in that, if you find yourself in that shoes, what will you do? Especially at this point in time when most of us are dropping the culture of ASE. Why do Igbos do that? Why do Igbos have to ask questions, make inquiries about the family where they are getting into before they get married? And what will be the implications if we don't continue with this, using this instance as a very good case study? That is what we want to look at this morning. And we have an Igbo man with us. He's a journalist, he's a public affairs analyst. He knows what it means when we talk about ASE. So we want to look at it from the Igbo perspective and also know how to maybe reincorporate it into our culture as we begin to look at what whites do, what globalization do also to our culture. We have Paul Sinokeke right here with us in the studio. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, viewers. Please join us in this interesting program.
Yeah. All right, David mentioned ASE. If not because I was Igbo or I am Igbo, I would have been maybe floating, wondering what exactly you're talking about. So please, when we talk about the Igbo culture of ASE, what exactly we're talking about?
ASE simply means when a young man wants to get married and perhaps he has seen a particular lady he wants to get married to, he will tell his parents or his relations that I'm interested in Nkechi, and Nkechi is from Umuanaga. Please find out how the family or more details about Nkechi. And the mother or the father or any of the uncles will find out, okay, Nkechi, he will tell them where Nkechi is from, the family, and they will move. The family, the parents, the relations will move to inquire from that village. Who is Nkechi? What is her background? Who is her father? What does the father do? What does the mother do? How do they behave? Ikekwe onwere ofuka adava ana anu na that village. Ogeje kwuru omanje direct. Ogeje kwuru ofuka nwanne ba ma obo ofu enyi nwoke no Umuanaga. Juanya family di otu a kedu ka fa si eme? Why these things were necessary is because those days families do not want to bring women from families that are noted for criminalities or for certain things, certain aberrations, bringing bad blood. There might be said, na papa vakulodo. It is enough not to marry the particular lady. Because when the father committed suicide, there must be something that led the father to commit suicide. Therefore, we do not want to still carry that blood into our family. It is enough. Mamia na-ezu oshi. Mamia na-agwọ oke ọgwụ. Mamia na-anụsa ọgwụ. Mamia zuru oshi n'afịa. All these things are negative traits that will make a particular lady not to be married. Majubese. But these days, the society we live in now, the modernization, those who believe they know better than their elders, that's the youth. Yeah, they believe they know better than their elders. They see on Facebook and got married. Nobody asked any question. And if you say, na ajụkwa no mese na asị na papia na ezukwo n'ozi ọ sị gị daddy no papia na ezu osi na ọ bụrụ the girl na ezu osi and that is, he will dismiss you. You understand? Which is very bad. Because every family will live a Malofa. And that is what makes you who you are. In the real sense of it. Every family has their own values. But today we don't talk about values any longer because our value system has been eroded by westernization, by foreign influence. And that is why it is bad. And that is what has kept us where we are today.
All right, I want to ask a question. ASE, like you've mentioned, begins to throw up maybe family histories, family genealogy. You'll be told you are not expected to marry from this family. No one has to relate. You also be told this family, you are not supposed to marry from there because of one thing or the other. Maybe a particular oath that was taken in the olden days. Now, people argue in the modern generation that some of those questions are no longer necessary to be asked because it throws up stereotypes. Let me use for instance suicide. In the olden days, suicide is believed to be maybe a family trait or maybe something that has been committed. But recent science have proven that suicide might just be out of depression or a certain mental situation that cannot be inherited by blood. Now, how does this ASE affect some of these modern discoveries and maybe the excuse that some of these things threw up stereotypes against people, against families? Also, the culture of, what's it called again? Oru. And Osuka system, those kind of exclusions that we are trying to reduce or remove their walls in the present generation. How does ASE continue to uphold those old stereotypes again?
You see, why ASE is still necessary is because of certain fundamentals in human beings and in the society. One, it's just like we mentioned earlier about suicide. Those days, it was believed that for somebody to take his own life, that there must be something, there must be some underlying factors. Those underlying factors could be even family metal. So, because now, if a family metal, I say no, if something led him to it, no baraka. In as much as the contemporary society could now attribute suicide to, they will say mental health issues, depressions, and so on. Yeah, it still does not hold to a larger extent, because life is so precious that and that any human being, I'm not at a world. That's no now that we said depression, you to try to lighten up if a melono. But still, something leading to it. It's again only for metal. Because there are people who they behave in my background there, in my bossy. There are a lot of mad people on the street. Some of these mad people, what they have done, except when they say, and so on. And when some of these things are done, other families, now they're very careful in associating with such families. You understand? Just like, okay, another aspect, the OSU system, it is only about that particular section or aspect of life that modern society could say, okay, and yeah, some of these things do not hold water. Why is that? Because a particular human being, they say, papa or mama, family, therefore, there are no free bonds. There are slaves to Alose de Banye. There are worshippers and so on. But modernization has come has taken away all those things. Now everybody is as good as the other. Fine, we can accept that one. Okay. You understand?
Yes.
But there are others we need not remove.
Oh, okay.
At least we must hold it strongly. That now we will need IJU, just like the case in point we are discussing, where siblings married themselves. It is because of our duress. Okay. Because in a senior society, you now find that they will need no more of a duress. Now one man no 1 year. Perhaps the meeting on social media. Only on London, only on America. Perhaps come wine say GJ. Obiaba more not London more than wine. About America, not America more than okay. And they never met, they never knew themselves as siblings. Not until a given time. Then they meet on Facebook. Oh, you're beautiful, I want to marry you, and so on. I said, no problem. And they consummated the marriage. After a very long time, had children. After a very long time, perhaps their mother might appear in the picture. And she will begin to talk about another woman in America. Or the same person, your husband. So, relations here. But today, generation do not mind some of all this is because we are cousins will be dating themselves.
Yeah.
Every cousin say can I you with her.
In the knowledge of the family.
In the knowledge of family cousins. But I still don't worry for me. What did I buy? What did I need? What did? So if na generation kita nema local because this is a society where nothing matters any longer. Other than those days, when I said no nya one negi in us, we used to say na aru one na diogu. Manande kita ga say aru one do ogu oropu diogu. And that is it. Because if one negi man no one negi, and nothing will ever make you to have any other thinking other than no one negi.
So, sir, I would like to know, we've understood what IJU means, but my question is it enough? If, for instance, I see, okay, let me say, if, for instance, David sees, David, I'm trying to be David. Let me say, for instance, David sees a girl, he feels, I want to get married to this girl. Is IJU the only way to ascertain that this girl is a good girl? Why I ask this question is that currently there is this voice note that's been making the wave. The voice note by a wife of a man, and the wife, her mouth is very loud. She said a lot of things and she keeps releasing more and more of it. Now people keep saying that what kind of a woman is this? But the funny thing is, in one of the voice notes, she did mention that everybody knows that she's from a reputable family. That even her family will be shocked that she's doing some of these things she does. So my question is, and from her story, she stated that the man and she but now 5 years, maybe 7 years down the line, the man is seeing another human being that is quite different from the family. So my question is it enough if your family just go to dress, do inquiry? Does that ascertain that this is a good person? Or is there a second step that covers the lapses of IJU?
No, IJU does not guarantee a particular human being a good person.
Okay.
Let me just tell you something. People change. Change factor is very, very constant in lives of individuals.
Okay.
You understand? Because perhaps as one grows, he begins to learn new characters, new traits, and new way of doing things.
Okay.
A human being called the 10 years or 20 years might not be the same human being 40, another 20 years after.
Okay.
You understand? Because as one grows, he acquires more knowledge. He broadens his scope. He knows more things he didn't know. That's why most of the time, if a human being, so say, na ọ bụrụ na mma ife mma alụ kịta mgbe dị otu a na m aka emeghị ihe dị otu a, it is because he or she has learned more things.
But as an experienced family man, what's your advice? Do you think that if somebody wants to get married, IJU is enough? You know, some people will go as far as saying, let the girl come and live with my mother. Let the girl come and live with my sister. Some people will say, courtship, courtship. But as a family man, what would be your advice, despite IJU?
No, let me just tell you some of this. There are things we say in marriage. There is no particular marriage law. Or he walk all onye. You understand? Because you will say this one is good today, tomorrow you say another one. Marriage ain't a formula. You understand? So because the marriage ain't a formula, or Igbo say it, no ngugu onye togetelo. Marriage is like ngugu, a wrap. So when you get it, you open it. Whatever you say, you take. And that is why there are people who courted for 10 years and they got married and they divorced 2 years after marriage. And yet these are people who are courting for 10 years. Oh, you are sweet, you are this, you are that. But they just married for only 2 years. They could not stay together. And then you begin to ask, for
the 10 years, yes.
You were together in the last 10 years. If one abra keji moy, keji anodi na unye. So that's the only thing. So IJU are enough. But IJU will provide you information about bringing some blood into your own family. Who are deviants. That's basically why you ask IJU. You understand? Or any other thing. Or the individual herself. No, you look at the family. The kind of human beings say, it is a common belief that na and you don't want to bring such blood into your own family.
But does it really work like that? Sorry, David, sorry.
Go.
Does it really work like that? That because obviously now because I feel, I don't know, I feel there are some characters that you adopt as a person. You get, there are some characters you adopt. For instance, if you train up a child in the way they should go, because I've heard of a story where a young girl was raped.
You're going too far.
No, I just want to ask a question.
Have you heard about this word, kleptomania?
Okay, I've heard.
Kleptomania. What do you know about
All right.
You understand?
Yes, finally, Achom can join this question before we round up. Because it's also related to the scenario we painted when we started. Now, you mentioned something like that when you were talking. The issue of where you see maybe a woman, and at times you see some parents do not actually tell their children, see your own outside, or even the dad.
Until burial day.
Until burial day, you begin to see faces and something. And maybe he's even the only person who mad the secret. You also see a case where the man maybe impregnated a girl without even having a knowledge that whatsoever girl now impregnated that the woman had a child and kept it away from his knowledge. In these kind of situations where the man finally discovers that the lady she is married to, or the girl finally discovers that the man she is married to is actually a blood sibling, what can the person do? Especially for people who were brought up in cultures where it is a taboo to marry a relative. What do you do?
You dissolve the marriage.
The children?
Well, either of the partners could keep the children. But the truth is that, how do you feel you are living with your sister as a wife?
But what it means is in that situation, IJU is not the solution.
IJU, no, it is still a solution. Because IJU, you will get into the mess.
Okay.
You understand? It's a solution.
Okay.
IJU, you will not get into it. But because IJU, you got into it. Now you are trapped. And you want to continue. No.
So
no matter how long you have stayed in a mistake, and the only way to correct the mistake is to get out of it.
All right, let me now ask this final question. Should our modern day dress include taking DNA? Maybe you have to, before you get married, get your wife and take DNA. Mom connected by
biologically.
Yes.
Well, that is where it becomes very imperative. Perhaps I suspect.
Yes.
And I wouldn't something together. Maybe there is this striking resemblance between two of you.
Yes, like you mentioned the other day.
You understand? There's this striking resemblance between two of you. You might not say, can I go to DNA malokwa before I agaba? Oh, fine, it's necessary.
So finally, my final question, not really like a question, like I would like you to advise. I'm not against one generation. I understand, but I also would like to argue that if the child is not going the right way, the parents should be blamed. So now I'm not playing the blame game. I'm not playing the game. I just want you to advise both the parents and this generation we're talking about.
Okay, like you said, the parents should be blamed. You see this situation where Obinna is at home, he's a good boy, very good boy. Obinna goes to school and becomes a different human being.
The teachers should be blamed.
And when it comes to the house, he's the boy of the house. How do you reconcile the two human beings? You understand? Because before you, your child is the best, you can swear. Your child is the best human being ever created by God. But down there in the school, where he's been terribly influenced by peer group influence and other factors. He's something else. He's into drugs, he's into this, he's into that.
So what's your advice to this generation and the parents?
My advice is for this generation to at least still make time to look back, because their parents are not idiots, those who born them. At least take a cue from what your people do, even though you will add a little from what you have learned from outside. Because no family raises their children to become deviants. Every family wants to raise children they will be proud of. Therefore, it's always bad when children disappoint. Parents always die because of it. Perhaps you spent a lot of money sending your children to the best school in order to give them the best education and to become better citizens. All at the end of the day, he ends up as a cultist. And this.
So what's your advice, in one word, your advice to the parents?
The parents is to continue to do their best. Do not abandon them because they have derailed.
All right, thank you very much, Paulson Okeke, for joining us on this morning's show to discuss IJU and promoting the sanctity of marriage. All right, that's how far we'll go on this segment. Thank you for having you on the show.
Thank you.
And from me, I'll say as a parent, please look beyond what you see. Don't just look on the shadow your child is showing you. Exactly. Look deep, even if it means you searching his room or her room when they're not there. Try and look beyond what you see and create time. That's it from me.
All right, let's take you over now to our breakfast news studio for breakfast news at 8. Join us.